everyone, kia ora koutou and welcome along to Showy Ovaries, a podcast where I really have no idea what stage of estrogen flux I am in. Penny Ashton, become the Sherlock Holmes of hormones, putting a magnifying glass up to our fleshy bits to see just what on earth happens in menopause and perimenopause by talking to a series of fabulous females and trans individuals all about their lives and sometimes their labias. A quick reminder, as always, I am not a doctor. Though, on my fifth form progress report in 1989, I got an A for science, where apparently I displayed excellent work habits. Though I got a B+ in chemistry, and Mrs. Stockwell said, good results, but with more sleep, could be more alert in class. So maybe I was already menopausal then. Today's guest, though, no doubt aced all of her school subjects and now has a menopause compendium in her head after writing one of the two books that came out in January in New Zealand, all about our stuttering ovaries, called This Changes Everything, The Honest Guide to Menopause and Perimenopause. Previously, she founded and edited the Cuisine website before becoming founding editor for the Healthy Food Guide magazine. She specializes in simplifying complex scientific health shizzle into plain English, has done 2 TEDx talks, and wants to empower midlife women to become vibrant, kick-ass old ladies. Please welcome a kick-ass, not quite old lady, Niki Bezzant. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. No, I'm not nowhere near an old lady. I reckon the old ladies are way down the track.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's funny actually too, because a lot of people go, I feel like we're not as old as ladies were in the past, but maybe ladies in the past weren't old either and we were just ageist looking at them.
I think maybe there's a bit of that now. Looking back, I think that's probably true. But also I do think 50 when my grandmother say was 50 is different to 50 now.
Yeah, I mean, we've
sure.
added quite a lot of life expectancy since then, haven't we?
Yeah, and health expectancy too, you know, like
True.
Actually we're going to be healthier for much longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a fan of this idea of menopausal as the old, frumpy, old, grey-haired lady.
Of course.
I think we've moved well past that now.
Yeah.
Time to just ditch that.
And it's been and also congratulations to you, because your book has been lurking around in the top 10 of the non-fiction best-selling list, including on the top spot. So that is very gratifying, I'm sure.
That is so exciting to me, yeah. And when I found out that I was number 1, that's just so exciting. I was really thrilled.
Totally, man.
Really thrilled. I did a little dance.
How long did it take you to write?
It took me close to 2 years from start to finish.
2 years.
The research and the writing.
Did someone approach you or did you approach Penguin?
It was a kind of a collaboration. So I had been talking to Claire Murdoch at Penguin about, maybe I should do a book. But we hadn't actually come up with a topic. And then she had said to me, you know, there hasn't been a menopause book done for 15 years in New Zealand since Beverly Lawton's one, which was 2005, which is a good book, but obviously now pretty dated.
Yeah, especially with the HRT information.
Yeah. So then I said, okay. And I went away and had a wee look at that whole topic because I was at that point, 2 years ago, I was 49. So I was starting to get to that age where things are happening.
Yep.
I don't really understand them. It's starting to come up in conversation with my girlfriends and, you know, that sort of stuff. And then I started looking into the menopause thing and perimenopause, and I went, there's so much here.
It's so much. It's enormous.
I need to learn this and I need to share this with other people. So then it kind of became a menopause book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to thank you as well, because you're very good at answering my Facebook queries at God knows what time of the day when I have questions about it.
The vulva hotline. That's what I am.
Absolutely. I've talked to so many random strangers about my vulva and bits of late.
Yeah.
We may as well address, I'm calling it Vulva News Network, VNN. And it's very exciting because having talked to your good self, Samantha Newman, who is a GP in Napier, plus the Menopause Over Martinis Facebook group, and the Vaginal Atrophy Facebook group, that I've been using dermal cream and some emollient, both of which I had prescribed for completely different things recently, and it has made an enormous difference. So,
that's good.
Yeah, so I think the Ovestin was actually irritating it. And then I was like, it's not getting better, I'll use more, and that didn't work.
No, I think that can happen. It can irritate. Yeah. That too,
an emollient, for those who don't know, is basically just smearing candle wax on yourself.
It's a moisturizer. It's like a moisturizer for your vulva.
Yeah, but it's paraffin and things like that. So it is incredibly thick.
It's full-on moisturizer.
Yeah, it really is. It was like taking a candle and smudging it up in there. And I don't know if it's the derma or that, but the combination of both And I don't know if it's actually a condition or what, but I will go to the doctor once all the Omicron wave has passed. But I'm just like so much more comfortable. So I was very miserable. You can ask my husband there for a while because vaginal atrophy is for life, it seems. And so it helps to get on top of these things as soon as. And I didn't even know if it was that necessarily, but it is a lot better now. So thank you for your help in that.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I prefer the new term, although marginally, GSM, which is genitourinary syndrome of menopause.
Yeah.
Because I think vaginal atrophy sounds quite horrifying.
It is quite horrifying. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny because I'm just used to that now. So it sort of doesn't bother me that much. But the other one's quite hard to get your tongue around, as it were.
Yeah, you just have to say GSM, genitourinary syndrome of menopause. So that's everything. So it's probably a little bit more accurate because it actually affects all of the tissues down there, not just the vagina.
Yes. In fact, I've got my longer introduction for you now, so I'll do that and then we can get into all of that. So here
we've gone straight into vulvas.
We have, which, is always to be encouraged. Here we go. Niki Bezzant was born in 1970 in Taranaki. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't find much more biographical information at a formative age than that, but I know that you were in New York on the night that Lady Di died because your Facebook profile told me that. I was actually in Moscow, interestingly, where I won't be going anytime soon. But professionally, she has been writing about health and food and the relationship between the two, particularly, for over 20 years. She took the Healthy Food Guide from an independent startup to New Zealand's top-selling food magazine, is the current editor of Thrive magazine and the health editor for Women magazine. She has written 2 cookbooks, is a frequent contributor to TV, radio, and print in New Zealand and overseas with a recent Guardian article about menopause, has won Supreme Editor of the Year in the New Zealand Magazine Awards, and Best Feature Writing and Outstanding Contribution to Food and Health Communication at the New Zealand Food Media Awards, which is a mouthful in itself. She's a passionate advocate for science-based outcomes for all, particularly around child obesity and women's health. So please again, welcome health guru extraordinaire, Niki Bezzant. Hello.
Oh, hello. Goodness me, what an intro.
I know, it's funny. I do that for everybody. Everyone always seems quite sort of taken aback, but it is all you. You did all that.
Yes.
And then a lot more.
I did, yeah.
And a lot more. Yeah. Do you like hearing it all?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm proud of it all.
As you should be.
Yeah, we should be proud of what we've done. And I'm really proud. I am really proud of this book, this new book. I really am. Yeah. And I'm happy to say that now. I can say that.
Yes. Were you worried that it might not go well?
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Yeah. It's a very personal thing. It's like a baby putting it out there in the world. The recipe books I've written, I don't know, I didn't feel so personally attached to them in the way that I do about this one. This one has been such a big part of my life and a humongous amount of work and effort and research. And, it just felt huge to me. And I guess I just really wanted it to help. I did it to help women and I really wanted it to help women. And I kind of, there's that time when it comes out and you don't know if it's going to land, if people are going to like it. I was nervous about that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you're someone who is based in science, aren't you? And so you wanted to make sure that it was all corroborated and correct and not misleading in any way, etc. Because there is a lot of, we've talked about this as well, there's a lot of snake oil going on in the menopause market.
Yeah, there's a ton of it. And that got me cranky. Well, not cranky, it got me angry when I was writing, because there's a lot of people out there exploiting women when we are very vulnerable. It's a vulnerable time, perimenopause and menopause. And I think, there are a lot of people out there, I don't know their intentions, but the effect is they are making a lot of money off women who are at a very vulnerable point in their lives. And it's not necessarily helping those women either. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel strongly about that.
Yeah, I mean, the placebo effect is interesting, isn't it? Because you talk about that it can be quite effective, which is so crazy to me.
Placebo effect is a real thing. It's a real measurable effect, and it's not to be sniffed at because, if you have that happen to you by taking whatever you with a treatment, any treatment, then it feels real. So it's not to be ignored, especially when it comes to menopause symptoms. If it's helping, whatever you're doing is helping you, then, just go for your life, I think, if it's working.
Yeah.
And it's not causing...
It's just when it costs $500 for 12 pills.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Then it starts to get into, is this ethical territory?
Totally.
Yeah.
So now the question I always ask everybody first is, what has your relationship with your body been like in your life, and what changes has it been on, journeys, etc.?
I like my body. I like being in it. I appreciate it for what it does, and I guess I try to be kind to it. I probably now at 51 have more confidence in my own body than I had probably at 30 or 25, when arguably, well, probably definitely, it was definitely younger and more youthful. But I don't know, was it hotter? I feel the confidence that I have in my body now makes me, I don't know, I feel very comfortable in my body now.
Great.
Yeah.
But you didn't used to?
I've been self-conscious in my life about my body, for sure, yeah, and especially when I was younger. You know how you do tend to be quite self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been thin. I've always been quite thin and tall, relatively tall.
How tall are you?
I'm not that tall. I'm 5'8", yeah, so not like an Amazon or anything, not like model tall, but I suppose taller than most, particularly when I was growing up. As a young girl, I was very thin. So that made me also a bit
self-conscious
different.
that way.
Yeah, and very self-conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband was the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that anymore. I suppose I grew into my body a bit as I got a bit older, but I've never been overweight. I've never had a weight issue, but my body composition, I suppose, has changed. I had in my 40s, I kind of had a bit of a revelation, I suppose. But my body had changed in terms of it got a bit softer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely was, I suppose, losing muscle and gaining body fat, I would say. So even though I didn't look outwardly overweight, I certainly wasn't, my body composition had changed. I was softer, and there were soft bits, you know.
Did you like that or not?
I didn't like that, no. And the revelation was the strength training. Actually, what happened was I went to take part in some research on body composition that they were doing at Massey, at the nutrition school up at Massey University, and I got put inside this very high-tech machine that they have there called the bod pod, which actually does a very, very accurate scientific measurement of your body composition. So how much of you is fat, how much of you is muscle mass, how much of you is bone, all of that. And also a DEXA scan, which is the other kind of measurement that you can have for your body composition. I learned in that scan that my body fat had crept up and my muscle mass had gone down. And so it just spurred me into action, and I started doing, I'd been doing Pilates, you know, for years, and I was like, oh yeah, Pilates is all I need. It's, you know, it's fine. But actually I needed to do a bit more. I needed to do bit more kind of strength training, and I got into some high intensity strength training, and I really found I enjoyed it, and it really changed my body for the better.
Great.
Yeah.
So more extreme than body pump or something like that.
Yeah. It's I was doing high intensity strength training, sort of a circuit thing at Bodytech, the now sadly dear departed gym, which just recently closed down. So that was about 8 or 9 years ago. It changed my relationship with my body. I like being strong.
Mm-hmm.
I like feeling like I can lift and I can do things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel more in touch, I suppose, with my body now.
It's good when our bodies can do things. I've been a member of Les Mills since 1992. I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's funny, I've gone in swings and roundabouts. I mean, people have heard I've had various body issues over the years, and rated to, you know, metabolism, rated to epilepsy meds, all this sort of stuff. So I've been a lot less at peace with my body than you have been, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I like this strength training and stuff like that too. But I don't love going to the gym. You know, you sometimes you do, and for me, because I tour a lot, I just get into a rhythm, and then I'd go to Canada for 3 months, and then you'd come back and go, and then you'd have to start all over again. And so that's quite hard, that just rather than just getting on that treadmill and staying there, I found that quite difficult. But also sometimes it just bores me shitless.
Oh, I think the gym is boring. I never liked going to the gym, but I liked the feeling after the gym, you know, like I never regret having a workout. I just never really particularly enjoy the workout.
That's so true. And getting there, especially if it's cold at 7 o'clock in the morning.
It's not about enjoying. I think if you're enjoying it, you're probably not working hard enough. It should be something that feels hard.
That you feel sort of really exhausted afterwards. What also I've done in lockdown is I got 2 4-kilo weights from Kmart.
I have those.
Yes, so I've been just doing my exercises and stuff at home and I've enjoyed doing that even.
Yeah, there's some good online workouts to be had, free ones.
I've been listening to Menopause podcasts while I've been doing my weights.
Wow, that's commitment.
Right, okay, well that's really great. That I just can't imagine what that's like to have been so at peace with yourself for so long, so that's really great.
Well, I think it's not like I love my body and everything is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm certainly interested in the changes that it's going through now through this perimenopause transition, and I'm kind of observing that and trying to be at peace with that too.
Yeah.
I see and I hear too many women really giving themselves such a hard time and really hating on their bodies. And I just think, you know what? It's amazing, our body, what it can do.
I especially feel that about people that have had children. Like,
Yeah.
people are so hard on themselves. My sister was like that. And I'm like, oh my God, you made 2 people.
I know, right?
And I haven't done any of that. And I just think, and people like, they're just so hard and down on themselves. And we need new people to people the world. And so that's the thing. My whole thing is that I'm so sick of women being vilified for the very biological function that peoples the world, which is what shame around menopause and menstruation and all of that is.
Yeah.
So yes, it is sad. Absolutely, when people become so focused, especially as they get older. So now, did you know anything about menopause before all of this?
I knew very little, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, a lot of women my age, I just thought it was going to happen to me and when I got old.
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because your jobs, you're like, right, healthy food for
I know.
and all
but
that.
it had been a blind spot, really. I mean, we'd done some stories on menopause. I'd commissioned some stories and I was like, oh yeah, that'll happen, like when I'm old.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know much at all.
And because magazines are a very female heavy environment, so no one really talked about it at work or anything.
1 or 2 people from time to time,
right.
And I sort of felt sorry for them,
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that terrible? Thinking, oh God, that must be so horrible having a hot flush. Oh,
Yeah.
But I didn't
seek to understand, or
I did not.
Yeah.
No.
What about your mother? Did she tell you about her?
She didn't. I talked to her when I was researching the book because I thought, oh, this will be good. I can interview my mum.
Yeah.
And she didn't have all that much to say. She said that she had some hot flushes, and I put her in the book talking about that. She definitely had that. And her period stopped, and it was a very short conversation, to be honest. Now she's read the book, and now she says to me, and my auntie's the same, oh, I didn't realise that I had these things and that they were related to menopause.
Yeah, right.
She can see the symptoms that she had now at that time, but she didn't herself connect them to
Exactly.
menopause.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting.
My mother's a bit the same, even though my mum's still on getting hot flashes. So she actually just went on HRT, even though she is 75.
Yeah,
and so
wow.
That's been some interesting. I know that in both of your books, you talk about not doing that. Is it 10 years after a period? Is the
10 years is around about, what they say.
Yeah, except that with the old, would you like to just give a little quick history about that study that's been debunked? I've never actually done this. I took
sure.
that on you.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Yeah.
So in 2002, that was when everything sort of kicked off with the HRT conversation, and that was because of a big study called the WHI, the Women's Health Initiative study. The study was looking at hormone replacement therapy, and it was actually not about looking to see if HRT was effective for menopause symptoms, because they already knew that it was effective for menopause symptoms. It was the most effective thing that was around for controlling hot flushes, and it was protective for bones. They could see also that there was a potential protective effect on the heart, and they thought some cancers. So the study was actually looking at what were the other potential positive effects of HRT in women. So that's what it was set up to do. It wasn't really set up to see, does HRT sort out menopause, because they already kind of knew that. But what happened was that the study got halted, or one arm of the study got halted early. They stopped it early in 2002 because of a finding that some of the women in the study were at a higher risk of breast cancer on the combined HRT that they were taking. And then what happened was that finding was actually misinterpreted. Subsequently, it's been found. The way that finding was reported was also really quite inaccurate. But the effect was that women immediately stopped taking HRT because the buzz was HRT will give you breast cancer.
Yep.
And then doctors stopped prescribing it, education on HRT stopped, and really women were left on their own to deal with their symptoms for probably nearly 2 generations, really, so 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming up on 20 years. So it's pretty shocking.
It's so shocking, and particularly
pretty unfortunate.
Because I read that some of the people doing the study were aghast at how it had been reported, that they knew that that wasn't the truth, but yet still it ran off with, because some people were being sued, and so then they were all very shy about prescribing it in case they got sued, and so then doctors stopped learning about it in schools in case everyone got sued, and there was, if there's no money in something, they don't want to investigate it or learn about it and prescribe it, and so it's been an utter failing for women for 20 years.
Yeah, it has. It's been a huge, huge disservice to women, to really 2 generations of women. And we're still dealing with the hangover of it now. And what we see amongst doctors, many of whom haven't had any training in HRT and are a bit scared of it, or don't know the latest science on it, because, they're GPs, a lot of them, they've got a lot of other shit to deal with. And they're just not confident prescribing it, and certainly not confident in all the nuances of HRT, of which there are a lot. Yeah,
and also the fact that it's changed quite a bit too, because that old HRT was from horse urine, which sounds exciting, and now it's
Premarin,
and it was a pill, wasn't it? And now it's a patch that goes on the skin.
There's all different forms. So the combined therapy that they were doing was I think it was a pill of estrogen, and it would have been a pill of progesterone as well,
right?
But it was a combined pill, Premarin. Yeah, it was actually a combined pill of both.
Yeah,
they don't tend to use that now. Yeah. It's been superseded by other forms, and what tends to be the most popular now is a patch of estrogen and a pill sometimes of progesterone, or else another form of progesterone.
Yeah, and we're trying to get the micronized progesterone funded currently.
Yes, that's the pill. That's the sort of gold standard, or the best possible form of progesterone that you can have, because it has fewer side effects and lower risk of blood clots and things like that. But what I need to say is that we know now from reanalysis of that data, because the WHI had a lot of good data in it. It was actually quite a useful study in the end. It was just that it got a lot of bad press. But what we know from reanalysis and subsequent research is that HRT is a safe therapy, and it is a very, very effective treatment for a lot of the things that happen to us at menopause.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't need to be scared of HRT.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, and everyone's individual risk is different, but the risk from HRT of breast cancer is very, very low.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it is a different product as well. It's taken in a different way, which means that it's a lower dose of actual estrogen into the body.
There's different doses, so it depends on what you're prescribed.
What your patch is, etc.
Yes,
yeah. So anyway, and because I was listening to Louise Newsom in the UK talking about who is the menopause guru. If you don't know, go and check out all her podcasts and her website. And she's saying that you're never too old to take HRT. So there is
that's interesting.
Yeah, because my mother, her hot flushes are so bad, she's just like, screw it, let's try it.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good illustration of how everyone is different, and everyone's individual risk profile is different. And while they say, it's very safe for you if you take it within 10 years of your last period, or before the age of 60, if you start taking it then, and that you don't really need to come off it. There's no prescribed time that you need to be on it.
Right.
But the risk does go up slightly after, I think, about 7 years.
Right.
5 to 7 years.
And that's of strokes and things like that.
The risk of strokes and blood clots and the breast cancer risk goes up a tiny bit, but it's a 1 in 1,200 risk.
Yeah. And so it's this balanced risk between what makes your life better and absolutely.
If it's really affecting your quality of life, then that is a low risk to you. And it's also worth noting, I think, that risk is the same, or maybe even a little bit lower than the risk that you have if you drink more than about 1 drink a day of alcohol.
Yeah, and you were very negative about alcohol in your book. I'd just like to take that up with you.
I've been accused of that. It's so funny. It was reviewed on the radio, the book, and the reviewer gave it a great review. And then at the end she said, well, my one quibble is just that, she doesn't want you to drink, or, she didn't like the fact that I was saying really alcohol is not good. And
you say it so many times.
You should probably try and eat well as well, But I do say, I make no apology. I say it all through the book, because if you look, every time you're researching a particular aspect of menopause, it just keeps coming up. Alcohol is not our friend. Yeah. It really is not.
But I mean, it is. It's like an abusive relationship. That's what
it's a frenemy.
Yeah. I know. It's funny because, I don't think that that's bad that you did that. I just don't like that exists, but it's not your fault.
No, I'm just the messenger. Yeah, and I'm the fun police, I know.
Exactly.
But it is just, I think, one of those things that we know.
Yeah.
We know it.
Yeah.
We know alcohol doesn't make us feel good ultimately.
Just for a short time.
Yeah, I know. It's so fun, right?
Yeah, it really
But
is.
it makes us feel less good as we get older. And I got to the point where I'm not a non-drinker, but my drinking is extremely moderate now, where I don't drink during the week. I don't drink at home during the week really at all.
Right.
I will drink in social situations. So if I'm going out or if I'm having dinner here with my boyfriend or whatever, I will have 1 or 2 glasses of wine, but that's about it now.
Right.
Otherwise it's just bad.
So you actually feel the effects quite strongly.
I feel the next day, I just cannot. My tolerance is very low.
Right.
It probably comes from not drinking very much, actually, too.
Yeah.
When you don't drink, you doesn't take much. You can feel it after half a glass. But also, I think as we know as we age, our ability to metabolize alcohol does go down.
I mean, if you try harder, it might get better. But
I know, I just need to get into practice, right?
So do you consciously have alcohol-free days and all that sort of bizzo?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's probably not like a conscious effort now for me because it's just my norm.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't really have alcohol in the house. I don't have wine in the fridge,
right?
Unless there's someone coming over or something. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. So now, how did your symptoms start to show themselves?
I think the first thing, and I'm a little bit like my mum in that sense. Like the first thing that happened to me, I didn't realise was a perimenopause thing until I started writing the book, and then I went, that's what that was. And it was actually not a hot flush or a night sweat or anything like that. It was I was having recurring UTIs, urinary tract infections.
Right.
And I had been slightly prone to them as a younger woman, but they weren't going away.
Right. So because I've never had one, I'm very fortunate that way.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So it's just that burning sensation.
Yeah, just really, really uncomfortable when you pee and having to pee all the time. And it's like a lot of urgency. Nothing much comes out when you do go, that kind of thing.
And so you were constantly on antibiotics?
Yeah,
right. Which is not good either, really, is it?
It's not good, no. And the antibiotics wouldn't knock it out, so I'd have to go on another course and that kind of thing. So I ended up seeing a urologist who prescribed me. She gave me a range of different treatments, but one of them was vaginal estrogen.
So Ovestin, was it?
Ovestin, yeah.
Right. Great. So you put that on your urethra?
Well, you just insert it. No, you insert that the same way that you put it in your vagina.
Right. Okay. Because sometimes people talk about applying on the outside, so I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah. No, but what that does is it plumps up all the tissues.
Right.
Because just for the listeners' benefit, everything has the potential to get dry and irritated, and the skin thins down there everywhere. So not just your vagina, but also your urethra and your vulva and all the skin around and inside and outside. So basically when you use the Ovestin, which goes in the vagina, it actually helps with all of the tissue there.
Great. Yeah. And that totally worked, did it?
That did work, yeah, and along with a couple of other things. There was a probiotic that she prescribed and another thing, not a medication, it's in the book and now I can't remember the name of it. Because the other thing that happens to me is the brain fog.
Right, okay. I was going to say,
yeah.
Right, okay. And has that affected your work at all?
I'm just owning it now. Right. It does affect my work a little bit, and that my memory has just got really shocking. But I think the thing about it is I know what it is. And so I know now that I need to just be a lot more careful with making notes about things and trying to record things that I have told people, because otherwise I might forget them.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the same with anything else that happens. So other things, I've got osteoarthritis in my fingers. That does affect my work because that's quite painful in my fingers. But that's relating again can be quite strongly associated with perimenopause. And then what else? I've had a few small flushes, but they're not really crazy at this point.
Right. So you would consider you're just really quite at the beginning of your perimenopause?
Well, no, actually, because my cycle, I would say that I'm in late perimenopause now based on my cycle, because I'm at that point where things are really irregular. So I've just recently come out of 4.5 months with no period.
Oh, right.
And I thought, woohoo, I'm on the way. I'm on the way to the 12-month, mark when I can say this is menopause. But no, 4.5 months, and then I had another period. So, but before that, it had been going a little bit crazy. So there'd be some cycles of like 25 days, and then some cycles of 50 days.
Right.
So there's that's what happens in late perimenopause.
Right. Okay.
It gets very unpredictable.
Yeah, and you don't want to take HRT yet, or no? It's like you would if you needed to, but you don't think you need to.
I don't think I need it at this point yet,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't hesitate to seek it out
if things get uncomfortable.
Yeah, if I start getting things that I'm not happy with.
One thing is just because HRT is linked to so many health benefits with dementia, with heart disease, with osteoporosis, with like preventing strokes and things like that. Do you ever think about just slapping one on as a prophylactic? Do you know what I mean?
I have thought about it. I have thought, oh God, I wouldn't mind being on it just because it would be really good for my bones and probably my skin. And,
Totes, yeah. That's one thing I've been thinking. Yeah.
And my muscles, knowing what I know now about estrogen and how valuable it is to us as women because of those estrogen receptors everywhere inside our bodies, from our top of our head to our little toes, it's got so many potential benefits. But I sort of feel like, on the other hand, there's no point taking something you don't need to take either.
Mm.
So I guess I absolutely would not rule it out. And who knows, in 2 years I might need it, or in 1 year. But I'm just holding at the moment. Yeah,
because that's because of this whole vulva issue, etc. I was like, oh, like should I go with systemic HRT? Is that going to make a difference? And now that it's sort of fixed itself, it's like, oh well, I don't need that yet. But yeah, I was thinking, well, yeah, I feel like I'm a bit early yet, but yet it could just be really good for me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel a bit like that too.
More useful than some vitamin supplement that's been peddled by somebody online.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because there's evidence behind this, right?
Yeah, totally.
But we don't want to. I think we don't want to swing the other way either. And there, what used to be. I mean, I suppose before the WHI, it was heading in the direction of every woman should be on HRT. It's this elixir of youth. It will help you stay young.
Right.
And I think we don't want to swing too far in that direction either. I don't know. That just feels wrong too.
Yeah, I know. Like, because Pinky, who was my first guest, she hated it. She said she got an oil slick in her underpants, which has been one of the enduring terms of the Showy Ovaries Med podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't like that. Jennifer Wood-Leland didn't like being on it. So there's a lot of people that haven't enjoyed the notion of it. So yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know that too. And I think it can take a bit of trial and error often.
Everything seems to be such enormous trial and error because everyone's so different. Like, our bodies are so different.
It's exhausting. But we're like sports cars. We're like very expensive McLaren cars, aren't we? And men are like a Toyota Ute. It's just like
Ute. Interesting choice.
like one of those cars that you just drive and drive and drive and drive and drive and don't need to do anything to until it just the engine blows up. That's a man's body, right?
And ours has got this whole extra bloody system in it.
It needs a lot of care and attention, otherwise it just won't go at all.
And lubrication. Have you looked into male menopause at all?
Oh, not really. I mean, it doesn't interest me that much.
She just leaned into the camera in case.
Yeah, I mean, I did look at it just because I wanted to be able to answer the question, which always comes up, and now I'm doing these talks for corporate groups every single time I get, well, don't men have menopause?
Right.
Or do men have anything like menopause? And the answer is kind of, but not really.
Right.
Yeah, they just have this very slow, steady decline of hormones over a long time, over a long period of years. And so it's not the crazy up and down roller coaster that we have.
Right, okay.
And it doesn't really have all that many, severe symptoms. It's not noticeable to a man in his everyday life in the way that menopause is for us.
Right, okay, absolutely. So have you talked about it with your girlfriends and found sort of networks and things like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I've been talking about it constantly for 2 years now. Everyone's getting sick of me talking about it probably. Yeah. But what happens is women want to talk to you about it now.
Yeah.
All the women, you probably have this too.
Yeah,
everybody wants to talk to you about it because of the book and tell you their stories. And I am here for that. I think we need to be talking about it much, much more. I think we need to have the conversations in a very easy, open, natural way, like we would talk about pregnancy or puberty. Other hormonal transitions that happen to us in our life.
I know, it's so crazy, isn't it, that it's like the last taboo, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that we've broken down those other barriers, so now it's time for this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should just be natural, and we should be able to talk about it at work with our male colleagues, and we should be able to talk about it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you come up, because how many women did you talk to for your book?
Well, I did about, I don't know. I mean, I did dozens of interviews with individual women, and then I surveyed 330 women as well. Right. So I've got and the comments in that survey are, mind-blowing and fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, and then I interviewed obviously all the experts as well. So there's many hours of of talking about. And it was really lovely to me because I just reached out for help, or I reached out for women who wanted to talk about it on social media and in just my own networks and stuff. And I was really, every single time, just kind of blown away by how willing women I didn't know, strangers to me, were to talk about their vaginas, to talk about their sex life.
Totally.
To talk about everything personal that was happening with them.
Yep. Snap.
Yeah, very openly. Because I think that, but up until that point, no one had asked them about it.
And have you had people contact you to say that you've changed their lives and things like that?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. And that has been so amazing. I mean, I've had women say that they cried when they read the book. Yeah, that they now feel empowered to go to their doctor and ask for HRT. I've had that. I've had women say, just really lovely things, which does make it really worthwhile for me.
Totally.
Yeah, because with all of my work, always, my kind of personal kaupapa is to do work that's meaningful and work that helps people. And so all of the stuff that I've done in my stuff on Healthy Food Guide and my writing on health and nutrition and all that stuff, I feel fits that kaupapa.
Yep.
But this is another level. I think it's really a lot more personal.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's really can be hugely life-changing as well, from someone to go from abject misery to actually getting their life back who didn't know that was why. I mean, that's what's made me quite angry, but channeling that into a good thing is a more positive way.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing and shocking. I'm sure you've had this as well, that so many of us get to this point of our lives knowing nothing and knowing nothing about what to expect.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what I want actually is for my generation, Gen X, to actually be the last generation that has this experience of menopause, right? Where we get here knowing nothing at all.
Yeah.
I want all these millennial women coming after us to be empowered and to know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to be so much of a better experience for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, like me, I immediately leaped to getting my doctor to give me Ovestin because I had a scratchy vulva, but that's because I knew about it. Like it didn't actually turn out to be the right thing for me, but like at least I wasn't going, what is happening? Yeah. And the thing is too, though, it's in keeping with your whole frumpy old lady menopause memes, is that we have to get younger women to be interested to hear about it as opposed to being, that's just old lady shit. That isn't going to be applicable to me because it's fucking not.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that has been quite surprising to a lot of, I've had quite a few women in their 40s and even in their late 30s kind of comment to me that, I didn't know that it could happen this early,
Yeah.
And it actually can. Like it can start happening in your late 30s. If you're in your 40s, then you're in prime territory.
Yeah.
It's coming for you,
Yeah. Okay, so now there's my fun fact time. Out of my box fun fact. You must have so, like, oh my God, how can you choose? So many facts.
Well, I was going to say, but did I already say it earlier? I was going to say that there's a 30 to 50% placebo effect with any menopause treatment that you may care to try.
30 to 50%.
30 to 50%. That blew me away.
Yeah.
That discovery, and particularly around hot flushes. And the other thing, which I found amazing, is that even in what they call open placebo trials, so that's where you know that you're being given a placebo and you have the placebo effect explained to you, there's still a huge placebo effect.
That's nuts.
So it's mysterious, and I don't want to at all imply that everyone's symptoms are in their heads, because we know, of course, that they're not. But it is a kind of a fascinating thing.
It really is. And the thing is, I've wondered about this in the past because I'm so deeply cynical. Like, I'm not in any way spiritual. I don't believe it. I can't. Meditating sounds like the worst time you could ever inflict upon me. I hate yoga. All of that. I would just be terrible. And so then I just figured out I'd be like, none of it's going to work. And so it would be maybe the opposite effect. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah. I don't know. But it is actually a fascinating topic. And I kind of can't stop reading and listening to things about the placebo effect because I find it really kind of very interesting.
So just finally, is there any manifesto or thing that you'd like to say or something to tie up with your menopause journey or just something to say to the people?
Well, I'm still very much on the journey. So I hope that what I've done, I hope that I can, I feel like I'm going to keep referring back to this. I mean, here's my book with my own little post-its.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Right.
I hope that this is going to be something that women do that with, that they can refer back to.
Do you know what? I have totally done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's got very easy headings. You can find, like I went back and read your vagina chapter quite a few times. what's happening to me?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's really good that way because obviously there's so many different symptoms. You're not going to get them all. So you just find the correct
No.
chapter in the book and refer to what's going on.
Yeah. And I guess what I would like women to know is that they're not on their own. They're not alone, because that was a thing that really came through when I started talking to women, was that people tend to think they're the only one.
Right.
They're the only one having this particular issue. Like, something with your vagina. Well, you're not going to really talk about that to anyone. And you might think, oh, this is a bit embarrassing. And a lot of the time, not even bring it up with your doctor.
Yeah, I'm not that person. I'm all over that. She's been exposed to many things from my person. But yeah, a lot of other people, absolutely.
But a lot of women just really aren't very comfortable talking about it, and they do think, oh, I'm the only one that's having this. Or they think they're going mad, or that, they're having the mood issues and all of the kind of anxiety and all that stuff, and they just think, what's wrong with me? And so, I kind of want that message to be, you're actually not alone. Probably lots of other women are experiencing what you're experiencing, and there's a lot that you can do about it. It doesn't have to be HRT. It can be, there's a lot of things. Like, I always start in the book, in all of the chapters on everything, I talk about all the things you can do, from like lifestyle management stuff all the way through to medications, not just go on HRT, because that's not the answer for everything. And it will always probably be more than one thing that you need to do. It won't just be one thing.
Usually stop drinking. So,
Although, almost always stop drinking.
Outrageous. Oh, and one thing I think is really important that isn't, I don't really know how to do this, but the sort of inequity to medication and information around those who are poorer, those who are culturally excluded and things like that. And that's massive.
That is massive, yeah. It shouldn't be that you have to fight hard and advocate for yourself to get basic treatment.
Yeah.
And also be privileged, because actually to access a menopause specialist, you pretty much have to be a privileged woman who can afford either health insurance or the cost of that.
Absolutely. And so there's so many people that must be suffering. And the centuries of suffering is the other thing that gets to be. But if I start thinking about that, we could all drown under the weight of it all.
Yeah, centuries of medical misogyny. Yeah.
But anyway, be free. Let's well, thank you very much for chatting to me about it all. And yes, it's called This Changes Everything, The Honest Guide to Menopause and Perimenopause, from Penguin and all good bookstores. I presume it's on Kindle and all that sort of shenanigans.
It's on Kindle. It is an audiobook as well. I did the voice for the audiobook.
Okay, great.
That was fun, and it's apparently the audiobook's been very popular, so that makes me happy.
Well, congratulations on your 2 years of epic output, and also just changing ladies' lives. So fuck yeah. That's all right. Okie dokes. Well, have a lovely day, and I might see you in person sometime.
Oh, that would be so nice.
I'll have a wine and you can just look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
See ya.
So that was the brilliant Niki Bezzant, who has written all of us a great manual to refer back to whenever some new bloody symptom or not bloody symptom rears its head. And once again, it is called This Changes Everything, The Honest Guide to Menopause and Perimenopause, from Penguin, and you should download the audiobook and hear more of her dulcet tones. Next week, I am chatting to a good buddy of mine, Lana Schwartz, who was a breast cancer survivor and was therefore crashed chemically into menopause. So we'll hear all about that, and also a little bit of her comedy show, Lovely Lady Lump, which was all about her cancer, and the two of us used to tour around the world and do stuff like in the old days. Till then, please do share this podcast with anyone you feel could benefit from knowing what the hell is going to happen to them. Niki is so right. Let's make Gen X the last generation to be blindsided by our bits and get the goddamn word out there about menopause. So you can find me on Facebook, Hot Pink Penny Ashton, Twitter, Penny Pink, Instagram is @Panache, and my website is hotpink.co.nz. I used to be called the Hot Pink Poet, you understand? That's why there's so much pink splashed about. But hey, pink bits, it works. Till next week, I've been Penny Ashton. This has been Showy Ovaries. Stay juicy, everybody. Ka kite.